All right, y'all. Happy 2025. Welcome to Tamales. It's our long acronym, long in the tooth acronym of our Texas Assistive Technology Makers Alliance.
Excuse me.
You're all good. Monthly meeting, January. So we're here 14th of January in the new year. My name's Nico. I have an MPH background. I've been at the center for about 2+ years, going on 3, and it's quite the time. I'm going to be doing more policy work as my role evolves. But part of my work is working with TTAP and doing this Tamales group. So I'm going to pass on over to Shannon to introduce herself.
And I am, oh, I just moved forward.
Totally did.
But we have an introduction slide later. So this is just kind of what our goal is to create a network of Texas makers. And before I introduce myself, I'm going to do that on the next slide so that we've got a few new people that can introduce themselves. But I really want people to understand that our goal is connecting school makers, occupational therapists, physical therapists within the schools to maker groups, and then bringing in people with disabilities to get some of these fab labs around the state to coordinate to actually help make Texas better. So it's more than just University of Texas. It's really bringing Texas together. The 3 parts of the triangle would be our therapists, then our makers, who are these engineers who have brilliant minds or future engineers, but then also the clients that are requesting help. And some of our new requests are gaming, and how can some of these clients with physical disabilities access the same gaming experience as our neurotypical or typical developing individuals without physical differences. So I'm going to move forward. So start thinking about that, how we bring more people, but then also I'm going to take Sarah as an example. Sarah works at an education service center. So she services 48 school districts, 49 school districts in the Houston area. Dr. Lee works in HISD, correct? And yeah, and so you've got so many special ed students, and I can remember a specific example where we had a child from Tomball Independent School District who needed mouth sticks for artwork. And so those kids are out there, but how do we connect the students with the engineers and the therapists? So that's our goal for Tamales, is connecting. I'm going to move forward. So our agenda today is going to be really the new members. We want people to introduce yourself. We want everyone to have a voice. We've got some regulars like Will. Kyle Ann has been here a couple of times. Sarah's been coming. We want to bring in the new people also. And we'll talk about some of the new student groups that, although they can't meet today, that we're going to be bringing in also. We have an interesting new direction working with some of the state libraries. So we're going to talk about some goals in regards to public libraries. We've got a new e-NABLE group starting here at the University of Texas, and we'll be bringing some of those members in. And then we really want to start thinking about realistic group goals. So I'm going to turn it over to Nico for introduction. So I am Shannon Page. I'm a speech language pathologist. I've had some conversations with Dr. Lee. Kyle Ann is up at Denton, right? Kyle? All right. And then Sarah is from the Education Service Center. But I'm going to let you kind of go around, Nico, and have each person tell a little bit about themselves so that we're building those connections. My goal is really to work smarter, not harder. And I want therapists working with students, and I want to have resources that can support those therapists in bringing the tools that will make life easier for the students and adults with disabilities. All right, so take it away, Nico.
Yeah, so I mean, we're just going to roundtable new members. Just like, what part of Texas are you from? How'd you hear about us? What's your favorite maker tool? And what is a goal you have for the new year? At least for me, what part of Texas am I from? I live in Austin. I'm from Wisconsin, so I'm not a native Texan. But how did I hear about us? I kind of helped Shannon co-found it. And then my favorite maker tool, we just actually toured a makerspace today here at UT. It's very new. And there's a lot of new maker tools that we have to learn. I think the laser cutter is one that I'm excited about learning. Um, and then a new goal in the new year is just grow tamales. So, Kyle Ann, I'm gonna shoot it on over to you.
Oh, great, thanks. My name's Kylan Rasmussen. I am in Denton, Texas. I heard about this group from Ron Nelson, who's a member who sometimes attends, who I worked with through a project that the ALS Association funded around assistive technology. My favorite maker tool is a 3D printer because that's where I got my start in making assistive devices. And a goal I have for the new year is to publish at least 2 papers, hopefully more, but I want to set an achievable goal. And I'll tag Ben.
I'm Ben. I'm a teacher of students with visual impairments, I'm in North Fort Worth, Northwest ISD. Um, Anything technology related, I've been slowly getting into because I was kind of timid about it, but the more I've just dove in head first, I've been excited and enjoying it. But American Printing House for the Blind asked me last year to do a demo on one of their products, and ever since then, it seems like every month they're, hey, we have a new product for you. We have a new product. And I've gotten really involved with this and I want to learn more on how it can help my students. Um, I've written grants to trying to get Apple Vision Pros for my visually impaired students so they don't have to have large monitors to carry around or projectors to see. They can wear one single device. Um, those haven't been accepted because they don't service several students like they want them to. It's just for one. So I'm still working on that. Um, but that is my goal, to jump in and find anything I can to help my students. Like Kyle Land said, I got into 3D printing. Our local service center had an extra one and said, hey, play with it over the Christmas break. So since then, I now have 4 others. And I've dove in head first on any YouTube video I can watch. I'm telling you, just learning anything I can to help my students without breaking the bank, to make sure they have the same access to their education as their sighted peers. I'm willing to do anything. So thank y'all for having me be a part of this. And I'm excited to learn from y'all.
Ben, are you aware that you can check out our equipment for 35 days if you're wanting to trial it with a student to make sure it works? And then you've got more data to show your district that your students are successful?
I am not. I am writing that down now. Thank you.
We have a lending lab and
Oh,
that's right. We have a lending lab and we have a lot of VI equipment. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Lee.
Thank you, Shannon.
no, sorry, Dr. Lee, you're muted.
I can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, hi. I'm Lee. Last name is L.E. and I'm with Booker T. Washington High School, and that's a high school for engineering profession. We're a high school, and we kind of train students and give them some idea about the engineering. And I've got involved with quite a few projects over the years, but I got in touch with Shannon through, was it Ohio, or was it something, I'm sorry, assistive technology, and they introduced me to, and I got in touch with Shannon, and through Shannon, I was able to establish some connection with HISD, which I didn't know there was an organization, HISD, but unfortunately, HISD did not have a lot of resources to help. However, we were fortunate. We do have um, some 3D printer. We work over the years. We work on a lot of projects, so we have quite a few things that could be useful. And so I got involved in it because we did prosthetics before, and assistive technology is something that new to me, but I think we looked at it and I think it's doable for our students. And so we got involved. And more important than that, we just started with middle and elementary school called T.H. Rogers. I don't know if you're familiar with that. T.H. Rogers is a school that has three, um, I guess, classes of where quite a few students that were SPED or special ed students. So we were able to connect with them, and they did request us to come over and work with them. So we use the engineering method to help with their cases, and we've been with them this week so far. And before that, we have established, contact and all that. So we're starting to work on problems that they have, and we'll hopefully our students, when they came over, they actually see the actual patient, and we have also occupational therapists there, nurses there, teachers, and all that. So we were able to get information from them, but they actually agree to leave our students with the freedom to choose the problem they want to solve, and our students would love to be able to have some kind of um, possible solution, design, whatever that needs to be done, and kind of work through what we normally do. So that's the agreement that we have at this point, and they're going to use that for the credit for their own classes uh, for the future. So they gain experience. They work with a professional, and they work with patients, and hopefully they come up with some useful solution. I also have some of the information that Shannon gave me through your website, where you have a lot of possible solution that could be useful for us already. But those are something that I was excited about because there are some network. Unfortunately, the ideas are good for us, but the resources not. We don't have that much resource, and HID doesn't have a lot for us. So we're gonna have to try to raise some of that, and not sure how we're gonna be able to get all that. And I hear you, Ben, that sometimes you from the school district, right? So getting money is not the easiest thing. And with HID, that we underwent system changes 2 year and a half ago. So that's even worse now. We're not going to be able to get much. But we didn't give up because of that, because we didn't, even though we didn't have help, we're still going to go ahead with trying to raise funding outside of the district if we could. And that's what we're trying to do. But we're still going ahead with various different projects. We have quite a lot of cases already, and we'll have students volunteering. And hopefully we'll be able to count on you for some advices. However, we're going to try to do what we can in terms of resources, in terms of expertise, and so on. So thank you very much for all your help so far, especially Shannon. I'm sorry I don't know you yet, Nico, but I'm sure.
In time, Dr. Lee. Yeah.
All right, I'll be able to tap your resource, and hopefully you'll be able to help us whatever you can. Okay?
Dr. Lee, will you send me like a list of things that your kind of resources you are looking at getting, so that I have an idea when we start looking for connections?
Okay. I will compile a list for you. It's going to take a little bit of time, but I will compile. It
Yes.
depends on what the patient needs.
Right.
And that will, we just started with T.H. Rogers, so I don't have.
Which is a great place to start. I know I've got some contacts there, so that's awesome. That's a great
Okay.
place to start.
So we'll get something done, and that's one thing I just learned from last couple of days with TH Rogers. They use also assistive technology, but they buy all that. They don't make any of that. We plan to make them as best we could because it's cheaper. A small little switch, something like that, it costs $250. I think that's ridiculous, but I think our student can produce them cheaper, and also if they can produce it according to the need of the client, it'd be good. But those the one that we need may be relating to those pieces and software that we may be needing. Do you have expertise in various different, for example, coding for bionics and stuff like that, because some of these things may require primitive coding, not seriously coding, but primitive coding
I
for.
have resources that I can get information from, like Ron, who can help you with that. So I have connections for you. I don't code, but I have connections that can help you with that.
I'll take whatever you can come up with. Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
perfect.
Wonderful. So that was, I think I'm gonna popcorn it over to Will if you got a moment.
All right. Yeah. So my name is Will. I'm kind of the wild card here. I'd like to say I'm from Charleston, South Carolina. I randomly got connected with this tamales group at the December of last year Abilities Expo in Dallas. And I guess a quick little backstory. During COVID, I started making charcuterie and cutting boards. And on one side, I started putting holes for pegs so it could basically support a casserole dish. So when someone took it, it wouldn't spill. And so I just kind of always kind of did that as a COVID thing on the side. And then one day I met a sweet lady who was having some neurological problems, and I gave it to her to use when she was in the kitchen. And she gave me great feedback about it, but it was just too heavy for her. So I kind of put that on the back burner. And about a year and a half ago, my mom was diagnosed with cancer, and she's doing better now. Thank goodness to MD Anderson. And I was just kind of having a down moment, and I was like, "What are you going to do?" So I remembered that sweet lady, and I was like, "I'm gonna, pursue this board." So I randomly reached out to these people on Instagram that I found after I Googled cerebral palsy, and reached out and said, "Hey, I've got this idea. Have you ever seen it?" And they're like, "We haven't." So here I kind of am going to pull up the board to kind of give you an idea of what it does. So it's got these holes so you can put the pegs in it around any shape and size object. So Ben, a lot of my clients are visually impaired. One lady, she uses it so she can do her fingernails. She'll place her hands here, and that way she'll know where all of her equipment is, if you will. So I'm just a one-man operation who's just trying to help as many people as possible. For some reason, this is one of the simplest pieces of assistive technology, but no one in the world has pursued it. So I guess I kind of had to take it upon myself and took a huge leap of faith, not knowing what the world I was doing. But it is proven to be extremely rewarding. So I'm just here kind of to make as many connections as possible because it's been really tough being a one man operation with no medical or engineering background. It's just, I have a solution to a problem. And then I realized that a lot of people can use it. I use it as a laptop tray, and there's just so many uses for it. So I'd love to give every single one of y'all one of my boards just so y'all could see exactly what it does and maybe come up with an idea or two for it. Sorry that
Yeah,
was longer than y'all were expecting,
Will,
probably.
you'll have to send us a board or two. Um, oh,
Perfect.
Oh, I have one, Nico.
Shannon, go back.
Oh, sorry.
We had one person join us last. Fife?
Yeah.
Hi.
Oh, I went way ahead. One more.
No, oh goodness.
I don't have my mouse. I'm a creature of habit.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Take it away.
Hi, nice to meet all of you. So I'm actually from Houston and I'm a member. I've been to one of the meetings before and I'm actually a high school student and I heard about this actually just from searching online. I work with the Easter Seals organization here close to me. So from there, I was able to connect to this really cool program or tamales because I'm really interested in engineering myself. My favorite maker tool, I guess, I'm really involved in communication technology. So I worked with some communication boards with people who are in Nigeria right now, actually, some younger students and kids. And Miss Page really helped out with that. And those students actually loved it. I was able to drop it off for them. And I'll definitely send you so many pictures and videos. But that's my favorite maker tool right now. And a goal I have for this new year is continuing to work with that communication technology technology and being able to spread that more with the connections that I have already. Thank you.
Wonderful. All right, so now Shannon, you get the honors to go to the next slide.
Sarah, are you in a position where you can talk, or are you in a meeting?
Oh, no, I'm here. We're just in the lab, so I have it projected on the screen.
Okay, we'll let Sarah introduce herself, because Sarah,
Oh,
I'd
yeah.
like to develop your relationship with Dr. Lee, because that's HISD, and I think these are the kind of connections that we've got to keep building. So I'm going to take it away, Sarah.
Okay. Well, my partner in crime is also here with me. Her name's Jade White. We are education specialists for assistive technology. I'm a speech language pathologist, and Jade is a teacher. And so we don't provide direct services to students. We provide professional development, and we have a very big, large lending library, so people can come in and borrow equipment before they purchase it, since a lot of this stuff can be expensive. But the brilliant mind that Jade is, she decided last year it'd be a good idea for us to create a maker space in our lab. So we're kind of getting that up and running. So right now we have 3D printers that people can check out. We have one that will be here. We have a 3D laser print or cutter, the Glowforge, and we're kind of building the different ideas and things that people may need and use to create whatever it is that they're trying to do. So that's our general vibe.
It's so funny that you mentioned the Glowforge, because we just got a quick 101, not like a training, but just like a quick 5 minutes on the Glowforge at our UT Makerspace. So we're going to get a formalized training on it. So if you want to trade notes, we would be happy to.
If you have a person that's going to come and train you formally, I would love to know who that is, because we couldn't find anything. Everything we looked at, we went through the company. They were like, here's some YouTube videos.
Oh, he's also mentioned how the support for Glowforge is also on the decline, and if they were to collapse as a company, that the support would be pretty tough to have for that device, because I think it's only Wi-Fi enabled, and so there's no way to like plug it into like hardline with a computer to like do your laser cutting. So there would have to, yeah.
Sarah, we'll connect you with him, because he's actually one of their Texas representatives through his work. So I think he would really be able to help you all with it. So we'll connect you with him.
We had somebody come in, but there's a lot of there's a lot to it. So my initial thought was to be able to cut out like key guards and stuff, but it's not as easy as we thought it was going to be.
Oh, I think he can help you, because he came from a special ed background, and he ran a STEM lab here in Austin, and he just started at the University of Texas. So he's been on the front line with kids, and he's one of the representatives that speaks for Glowforge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I think he'd be a great contact for you.
Yeah.
I think
we should at least get someone from that group to be involved in this group. So
yeah.
You went on mute again, Shannon, but I think we can go to the next slide. Okay. Oh. Okay. Where are we going? So we're going to, well, I'm not going. Shannon's going. Assistive Technology Industry Association. This is a big industry association conference that happens every January, February. It's typically in Orlando. Shannon is going to be going with Angela, our program director here at the Texas Technology Access Program. It's part snake oil salesman type, but at the same time, you do learn a lot from leading industry experts. So it is very worthwhile. Shannon's presented there. I believe Angela's presented there. It's a great time. I will let you talk about TCEA.
So one more thing about ATIA is on Saturday morning, they open up a whole maker group, and it's a lot of makers from like makers making change. So it gives us a chance to build more national connections, even though this group, our primary focus because of our funding is Texas. But we want to start small and do it right, and then kind of build those connections. TCEA, we've got Anita presenting there. And there's a lot of times there's technology out there. So we're sending Anita there because we think of it under the umbrella of assistive technology, and many times it's not that far from regular technology. It's just how the information or how the tools are being used. And so many times there's really easy, it's not a stretch to make something that's regular general ed technology into something that's assistive technology.
Especially, oh, I
Go
just
ahead.
want to piggyback off that. So the code jumper piece that I put in the chat earlier for Ben. But that's like teaching coding to visually impaired students. But it's also a very inclusive piece because it's learning coding, and you don't have to be visually impaired to learn it. And also it teaches music theory to kids because you can build out structures of music pieces within that code jumper kit. So it's a tangible device that you can also build out different types of just learning experiences for kids. So that's just one device that I think once we think outside of our conventions, AT really has no bounds. So yeah, take it away, Shannon.
And one of our directions with libraries is we've connected with a couple librarians. So in Harris County, many of the Harris County libraries also have 3D printers. So students, occupational therapists, they can go to the different library systems and try out the different 3D printers. And then above and beyond that, the cool thing about Harris County is every library has different 3D printers. So I can go and get trained on different kinds of 3D printing and seeing what other kind of tools are out there. Now with that, we're discovering that we feel the library is an untapped resource to get both parents of children with disabilities in for trainings and outreach. And then we're going to try to use some of these library connections with the maker spaces to, okay, so maybe a child wants a 3D printed piece to help them in school. That's one thing. Then the library can just help them print it. But above and beyond that, we're going to have them also as a feeding, as a way to reach out, an outreach means for more complex disabilities that might need Dr. Lee's program or some of our university maker programs. So it's one more way to connect. So we're going to start trying to utilize our public library systems as an outreach to help reach those that need tools and don't know where to go to get it. Since we're finding that the libraries are starting to utilize more maker spaces since they don't have as many books, they've got that space. And so we're trying to really connect and push that so that we can use that really valuable tool. So that's one of our goals.
Also,
go ahead.
Just to demonstrate that libraries are still like relevant. They are so powerful. They're one of our freestanding institutions for knowledge access. It's just like it is one of the more, anti-capitalist things we have in this society. So I think it's something that we should really latch on to because they do interface with everyone, Joe Schmoes to grandmas. I learned a new term today that my boss presented from womb to tomb, which is a pretty funny little saying.
Twinkle to wrinkle.
Well, I like to say twinkle to wrinkle. That's a lot more, I guess,
It's versus womb to tomb. But yeah, so it's outreach just to get more. Yes. Anyway.
But yes.
So those are just some of the directions we're going. And we always take your input in regards to how we're all growing together. So if you have ideas or you see something, we definitely want you to share. And in fact, right now, if anybody has any thoughts or ideas in regards to what I've just said, please take a moment to shout out.
I think, Shannon, you're going to the Texas Library Association conference?
Yes, in April.
I'll take a second. So I'm happy to donate to any lending library that y'all know of because I know I have a product that can help people, but is not out there. So I'd rather be donating these knowing that they're going to help people instead of sitting in my storage unit. So I know I'm just meeting y'all, and some people they're like,
Will
yeah,
you
just
put
saying
your
that, but I mean that.
will you put your email address in the chat and ask those to reach out to you if they're looking for an example? Because I do think in regards to like Sarah and Jade, I would use this device, and I've said that as a way to practice different positions for switch access because you can move it around with the pegboard. And that's kind of my idea for his pegboard. I would be using it for switch assessments. And I think it's a pretty cool thing in regards to that. You put a little
Yeah,
Dyson
because I had
underneath
no
it.
idea what I was doing, and all this technology is new to me, and
Yeah.
it's overwhelming. So any help that y'all can provide, and I'd love to donate to anyone that y'all know. So I'm serious about that. So please consider it.
Thank you, Will.
I have a
Shannon,
question.
I'm right there with you. I loved when you said use it for switches because I have trouble even using Dyson getting my switches to stick, and sometimes our students they just don't have that control for any fine motor, so that's gonna
Right.
they can knock it off easily. And will that would really help hold it in place so they can have better access to what we're working on. That was
Exactly.
awesome.
And it allows you to keep kind of manipulating, like, especially during assessments, like maybe they need a little farther forward and then it's not going to
Mhm.
push it off versus a little farther back. So it gives you but those stakes give you a little bit more of a hold on the switches.
Yes.
So perfect.
Thank y'all.
Dr. Lee, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I have a question about the library connection. You have established some connection with the library. Is that are they allow us to or anyone who asks for the space that can be used for our use, or is it something that we have to rent out or we have to rent from them, or to have some kind of maker space? Is that how does it
No,
work? You know?
your students, they have to get trained and they earn badges. So they can go to the different libraries and you can look online under Harris County Maker Spaces. And once they have that, they can use any of the 3D printers. So they can try the different libraries have different 3D printers. Like one has an Ultimaker, one has a Dremel, which I'm not as crazy about. One has the the bamboo. One has the what's the older one, Dr. Lee? They have the printables
Like
website.
resin,
Anyway,
like a resin, like resin.
they do have some resin. The one in Tomball has a resin printer. So Dr. Lee, what they have to do is your students can go and set up an appointment when they have trainings. They can look online when the trainings are. They can go and get the training and then they get certified. Once they're certified, they can go use those printers. They can set up a time to go and use those printers. And so you could have a couple students who wanted to work together, and if they had a parent to drive them, they could go and use one of those other 3D printers in the evenings.
Okay.
But it's open to the public. They just have to get certified on using it, which is like a 30-minute training.
What about the let's say you have a long print type. How about the filament? Do we have to supply the filament or they supply or how does it work?
They have okay, I'm going to tell you two things. So they charge you the filament by weight, but I've had a couple things that they haven't charged because they've had some donations of filament. So they will tell you it's by weight and it's pretty inexpensive. So they have to pay per like ounce or pound or it's by weight. But then, but they've not charged me when I've printed anything yet. So I don't know when they'll actually start charging.
Okay, so I'm also interested in the spacing because we do have some space, but we don't have a whole lot of space. Is that also Library Connection provide you with like a maker space as well if you want to do some work there? Do they have, for example, the
The libraries are open to the public, so you could have kids can just go and set up a time and they can work in any of our public libraries based on the hours of the public library. So those maker spaces are open to the public.
Okay.
And they have different tools, like they do have, you have to get certified on those, but they do have the Glowforge, I know in Tomball. They have a resin printer in Tomball. But each library has different equipment, so you have to go online under Harris County Library System to see who has what, and that would be a good activity for your students to research what they want to learn about, and then they could they could do that as some possible homework to explore the different options that are in the city. But they could set up a group of students, like 4 students, if they wanted to set up a group, they could go. They don't have to wait. The library, once they start a print, the library will hold it for them for a certain amount of time, and it's pretty extended. So they don't have to be there the whole time it prints. If they've got like a 13-hour print, they would just set up the there's a way to like basically reserve it so that they're not taking somebody else's time. So they do take that into account.
Okay. What about CADing? Do they provide a computer, or would you have to have we have to have our own computer to do the?
No, they have computers there. They have all of the equipment there. You just have to take their little course on it, because they've got the software already downloaded, like the Cura software. If they're dealing, they have the different software based on the equipment. So they've got all of that, and they'll show you how to do that when you get trained, and your little badges for it.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. And we're trying to really promote more people taking advantage of it, because Harris County, they're tracking who's using it, because they've got to show that it's a valuable resource for us. So that's why we want this to be a synergistic relationship.
Yeah, okay. It is a very useful, we used to train our students, but it becomes harder and harder. So if that's something that we could that could be done, that could. Also, we need to train our students for things that we have. We need to train them to be able to maintain our printers as well, rather than just use it, because maintaining is part of the ability to keep long-term project going. So we don't know how to, except for our own experience, we don't know how to teach kids how to do all that training easily, especially when you have so many different kind of training, and also our space are limited at school. So I'm looking to expand possibly, and I'm glad to hear that library can do that. And if it is, if it can train for CAD and 3D printing, and also maintaining, that would be a very useful service if we can suggest to them to do that.
Many libraries, yeah, they do CAD teachings, and they will do informational teachings on all their devices, yeah, throughout the year.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
you're welcome.
All right, Shannon, for the sake of time, let's keep it moving on. So where are we in the HCD process,
and that's kind of, let's see, that's kind of a review from last week. It's just really getting people to think about the whole process and not just the tools. But really, like for Dr. Lee's group would be a good example. These kids are going in and they're seeing what the problems are. They're researching ideas and solutions, and that's where we can come in and help. They use the 3D printers to prototype. You then want to evaluate it with the student or the, as he said, patient, but we talk about clients. And then once you've kind of tested it, then we'll make it into a real product. And then once you've got a product for one, many times you'll find that another student can use that same product. So that's just kind of getting people into that human-centered design process. But it's really putting the client first.
For the next slide, we gotta definitely just spell it out, because I was like HCD and I had to like think for a second.
Yes.
So yeah, don't forget the usability. Is it learnable? Is it easy to lose? We don't want to give something that's super time intensive to learn. It's like it defeats the point. So we want to be efficient. Does it actually solve the problem like 100%? Is it not just a band-aid solution, not a a flex seal onto the leak? We want permanent solutions. And then finally, is it what the client really wants and needs? That's kind of that human-centered design, that circular process of the iterative process of going back to the client and seeing how it fits with them and involving them at every step in the journey. So,
yes, can I?
Yeah, go, Dr. Lee.
This is like Shannon said. This is precisely what we do with our student. It is a cyclic process for us. And maybe I use the wrong term, patient, but clients. But if we do this, we actually have an iterative process where the student will go back and improve on it by looking at what works and what doesn't work, and see how to correct the process or the product. And the reason we use three different things is because it's actually very easy to redo the whole thing. Rather, in the past, when we do it with wood or with metal, that's much harder. So we like this process. We like this cyclic process, and it's a way actually what engineers do. We worked with NASA, and we work with engineers like, for example, in Boeing, for example, and so they actually taught us how to do some of this. So we actually love this kind of I call it spiral method, to get them to learn and improve and redesign. Nothing is perfect when you first do this. Now, however, in order for this to work, you're right, the client must also, but a lot of times, some of the problem we have, and I can see right now, the client could not communicate with us. In other words, cannot speak, basically cannot say anything, just hand signals and so on. So we don't know how that's going to work. And some client that we have so far cannot see, cannot speak, and so on. But also, I do have this request, if possible, once in a while, once we have a certain solution, I like it to be validated by somebody, an outsider, if possible. Is that something that we can invite you or Mr. Nelson or whoever that would like to just come by to be like an independent evaluator of some sort, but not in a sense where it's going to scare the kids. It's just going to give some ideas.
Oh,
Yeah.
you've got Sarah there from Region 4 and
I don't know Sarah.
myself.
Sorry, Sarah King, right? Is that what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
Sarah King, she's part of Region 4, and then I live in the Houston area. I would love that kind of visit, because that's part of our outreach. So I would do it in a heartbeat, and I'm very kid friendly.
Okay, so that's the kind of thing that I would like to be able to connect with, get some ideas for the student when they do have a solution, encourage them to, okay, let's look at this way, look at that way, whatever way that might work. And also you have more experience in various of these solution. For example, you looked at everything and you've done a lot of things that could give us some idea if we're on the right track or if we're not on the right track. Things like
Dr.
that.
Lee, that's exactly what we're trying to create with this group. Is you've got Fife is a high school student, and she's a brilliant mind, and so you've got it's really bringing in so that we are working smarter together versus everybody doing their own thing. This way, we're bringing it more together so that you've got brilliant minds working and getting big solutions versus a lot of little solutions. So that's exactly what our purpose is.
As Shannon always says, smarter, not harder. I mean, it does make sense. It really, like,
Yeah.
students and users, clients, patients don't necessarily always know how to conceive of what they need and to have a concept of what they need. But once we work with them and once we create ideas and bounce ideas off each other and kind of synergistically work towards a solution, things happen. Unimaginable, unbelievable great things can happen.
Kyle Ann is another good resource because she's right there she's an occupational therapist, and she could give really good feedback also because she's right up there at Denton University. So that's another resource for us, Dr. Lee, with Kyle Ann. So I'm gonna let you speak now, Kyle Ann.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I was just going to say to a couple of your points. One, for patients or clients who struggle with direct communication, I found that caregivers can be really an invaluable source of information in helping to identify what characteristics a device needs to have in order for it to be useful to the user. And regarding kind of measuring the product, I'm curious if you have any kind of outcomes measurement that the patient or client reports. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with the Quest 2.0. It's a really simple satisfaction measure for assistive technology that would give the students kind of a baseline of ideas to be thinking about while they're designing, and then they can get feedback from the user on if the device and if the services were satisfactory.
I didn't have that, but is that something you can share in the chat or a link in the chat or email me and I'll.
Yeah, I
ProQuest.
oh no, the Quest 2.0, it's an assessment. I have it somewhere on my computer. I will be happy to email it to you, or I don't
Yeah, and then I'll put it in the Tamale Padlet.
okay, or I could upload it straight there.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I'll do
Thank
that.
you. And then I'll make sure Dr. Lee gets it directly also. Or you can, you can email me and I'll connect you that way.
Great, I'll
Yeah,
do
thank
that.
you.
Thank you.
All right, Shannon, we got 10 minutes. I'm very much keeping us on
That's
track.
just a visual on what we've kind of talked about. That's just a visual, so you don't have to reiterate that. And then Nico, I'm gonna we've got a new
Yeah.
rack card that we're
Yeah.
so I'm gonna let you kind of share the rack card. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
stop share and let you share.
Oh, well, I don't have it pulled up. If you don't mind just clicking. Okay. Actually, I can pull it up real quick. Yeah.
Oh, can I click right here?
Yeah, you can click right there and it'll go right to the design.
All right. So what we're doing is as we go to the library and to these
Skip over
different
two.
places.
Skip over two.
1, 2. There.
Yeah.
So this is what we're going to start handing out, like when we're at our outreach events to families and parents, so that we're bringing in more connections, but also letting clients know that these services are out there, and if they need a tool, we can, based on what their need, we can send it out to Kyle Ann, or we've got the UT group, so that we're starting to network better. And then the other side would then have join the tamales, and then we've got the fabrication request. And that's where, based on if they're just wanting a simple 3D print versus something more complicated, that's where we're going to kind of bring these ideas to the group for some group problem solving.
So yeah, if there's anything that we should add on there that you feel like just off of initial reactions, you're like, oh wait, where was that? Where, like, how come that's not there? I was looking for this and didn't see that. Let us know, because we want to get it on there. So,
and then let me go back.
The idea is that it's going to be kind of like a tiny little postcard. So don't think of it as like a big little piece of like item, but it's going to be a tiny little thing that they can take with them.
Yeah, and we can, if anybody wants them to pass out to like high schools or school groups, that would be something that we can, so that they'll start connecting to us, and we'll start, like I said, the whole point of tamales is building state connections. So, and I think that's about, these are just our surveys, which they're going to be, they're already in our tamale. Don't forget the Padlet, and then we're going to move forward. Any last minute wrap up, any last minute comments from anyone? Oh, I didn't change this. So our next meeting is actually February.
I think it's February 8th, if I want to say. I'll pull it up in a second. But yeah, that's more or less.
Our next meeting is February 11th.
11th. Okay.
February 11th.
Apart from that we didn't show is we have another like just general information about 3D printing kind of rack card that we're going to be distributing.
To answer Sarah's question, when it gets something like if it's above 3D printing, what we're going to do is we're going to set up a Zoom meeting, and we're going to have conversations so that we know exactly what the individuals are looking for. Because we've got Ron who does more electronics, and then we've got we're getting some new engineering teams. And so depending on what it is, that's how we'll determine like the mounting or whatever it is that we need. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was just asking because we're working with one of the PTs and trying to organize some stuff in the lab, and that was something that kind of came up, like especially because there's nothing on the market right now to mount two switches on one switch plate. And so this particular person, she like went above and beyond, and she 3D printed some things, but it was too easily to be break. But I just feel like those are questions that I would always need to know if it was related to mounting. Like, are you mounting it to a wheelchair? And what are you doing? I would need to know how heavy it was.
And those are why when it gets more complex, we want to have those conversations so we can ask those questions. And it might even be a better questionnaire as we move forward that we'll come up with, so that we're asking those appropriate questions. Because mounting is a big thing. And many times I say we call that the access, and it's access that prevents people's use, not the actual tool in and of itself. So, all right, at 4:24, any last minute?
If I may,
Fine.
question?
Yes.
Sarah, I don't know, you remember me, but I think we've been in touch by email, right?
Yes, yes. I've got your email and we had a phone conversation.
Yes. So anyway, is it possible that maybe we can hook up, or maybe we can meet and discuss some of the thing, because some of the stuff that I wanted to do has started. So something like that might be very
Oh,
useful.
Dr. Lee, I told you I would meet up with you, and that would definitely be within our scope. So we can set up, and I can come to your school, or we were going to meet. Yeah, so we'll set that up through email.
Please, thank you very much in advance for your.
And I'm so glad to see you, because all the work that you've done since we talked, I'm just thrilled about, because that like I said, that makes me really happy. And Fife, I need to connect with you to figure out what you did, how your trip went, because that sounds awesome.
No, it's my student basically, but more thankful to Shannon. She's a great. She connects me to a lot, and your website actually were very helpful, Shannon. And so we did.
Nico gets credit for the website.
Yeah, well, we did some printing as well, and the printing that we did, and because of some of the printing, I use that as an example when I go recruiting. So that's helpful.
Very good.
I also thought there were some other things that I got involved in. I don't know, project core. So TH Roger requests some work on project core. So I got into quite a few things because some people kind of open up and say, well, if you can do this, can you do this for me? That kind of thing. So we're kind of open for that. So I would just want to add it in there. If you need anything for us to print, we're happy to do it when we can.
That's exactly what we're trying to do. Thanks, Dr. Lee.
Okay. We can help. We can help with that. Okay.
All right. All right.
Well,
so go ahead.
And it's just conversations like that. That's why we started this group, to really connect everyone. So thank you for being here today. It's been a great start to the year. We were rolling in. We closed it out on a positive note, and we're rolling in with even a bigger positive. So appreciate everyone for being able to contribute to this. And again, I just see Shannon and I as facilitators. Y'all are really the substance of this group, and really make up what Tamales is and will be. So next month should have some updates, at least with Shannon going to ATIA. As always, if folks have research or projects or information you want to present on, you're most welcome to. We will create space. As the meme has been going around, we will hold space for you and let you present. So if you have stuff you want to show and showcase, we're happy to give you the spotlight. So if anyone has anything else, please let us know. But otherwise, you're free to go. So
until February, we will see you all again. Thank you so much for joining in.
This was wonderful, everybody.
3 minutes on. Yeah. Thank you, Ben.
Bye.
Thanks, Dr. Lee.
Bye.
Take
Thank
care.
y'all.
I will.